Hello students, welcome back to your science class. So student, in the previous class in this chapter, that is atoms and molecules, we have started with this chapter and we have understood that what is law of chemical combination. Actually, law of chemical combination, it states that the two substances they combine together to form the product, or two reactant they react together to form the product. That is law of chemical combination. Now, this law of chemical combination is also divided into two, and in which first one is law of conservation of mass and the second one is law of constant proportion. Okay. Now, talking about the law of conservation of mass, student, we have seen that mass can neither be created nor destroyed. This we have understood with the help of the law of conservation of mass, students. Actually, the name law of conservation of mass has been given because the mass remain conserved. Even when the reactant is there or the product is there, it remain conserved. That is why the name, the law is given as a law of conservation of a mass. The second law which we had seen, student, that is law of constant proportion. In case of a law of constant proportion, here we have understood that whatever will be the product is obtained from wherever a compound is obtained, it always combined with the same element with fixed ratio by proportion. So we have seen that suppose if carbon dioxide is there, obtained from any of the method, from decomposition, from combination, doesn't matter, student, until and unless when you look at the elements mass, that how in which proportion they had combined together. So we have seen that they always combine in the form of 3:8. We have seen in the last class that how calcium oxide combined together, students, and the combination of the calcium and oxide remains the same even if it is obtained from any of the method. We have solved the question related to it. Now let us do another numerical which is related to law of constant proportion. So question is, that is 3.18 gram of copper on heating in air gave 3.98 gram of black CuO. That is copper oxide. Second case, 1.06 of copper oxide on reduction with hydrogen gave 0.847 gram of copper. Show that it follows law of constant proportion. Okay, so 3.18 gram of copper on heating in air gives 3.98 gram of a black copper oxide. 1.06 of copper oxide on reduction with hydrogen gas, it will give 0.847 gram of a copper. Show that it follows the law of constant proportion. So here in the first experiment, the percentage of the carbon we will find, and copper we will find in the oxide, and then we will find the percentage of the oxygen. Why is it so? Because here it is copper oxide and we have to find it that what is the ratio between copper and the oxide. So we must know what is the percentage of the copper in the first case and what is the percentage of the oxygen in the first case also, and the same thing we will do in the second case. So let us start with the first experiment. In the first experiment, percentage of copper the percentage of copper in its oxide is now see here, what is the percentage of the copper in its oxide? So for that we have seen that 3.8 gram of a copper, when it is heated, then 3.98 of a copper oxide is formed here. So we can say that is 3.18 divided by 3.98 into 100. Okay, this will be the percentage. The amount of the copper divided by the amount of a copper oxide which is formed here, that will help it in determining the percentage of the copper. Okay, then we will multiply it with the 100 in order to get the percentage. So the answer that you will get after doing that is 79.89 percentage. Okay, and in the second experiment, student, this is for the first experiment in which we have find the percentage of copper in its oxide. Now with the same we can find the percentage of the oxygen, in copper oxide. Copper oxide, and that will be, now we will simply subtract it from 100, we will get the value, and this will be equals to 20.11 percentage. 20.11 percentage is the percentage of oxygen in the first case. Now let us see that what is the percentage of the copper in the second case. So percentage of the oxygen is this much. So I am writing it here somewhere in order to memorize it. So in the first case, copper percentage is 79.89 and in oxygen it is 20.11. Okay. Now we will going to find in the second experiment. In the second experiment, the percentage of a copper in a copper oxide. Now you see here how much copper oxide is there. 1.06 of copper oxide on reduction with hydrogen gave 0.847 gram of copper. Okay, so how much copper is obtained here? It is 0.847 divided by 1.06 of a copper oxide into 100. When you will do that, you will get the answer, that is 79.91 percentage. Okay, 79.91 is the percentage. And the percentage of oxygen, it will be oxygen, the percentage of oxygen will be 100 minus 79.91, that is equals to 20.09. Okay, 20.09 is the percentage in the second case. Now you see student, in the first case it was 79.89 and in the second case it is 79.91. In the first case oxygen percentage is 20.11 while in the second case it is 20.09. So it is almost of the is the same student, the percentage in the first case and in the second case of the copper and oxide is the same. So we can say that yes, it follows the law of constant proportion. Okay, so in the first case it was 79.89 ratio 20.11 and in the second case it is 79.91 and 20.09. This is what, this is the ratio of the copper and that of the oxide. Okay. Okay, so this is what, this is the law of constant proportion. Now moving on, and we will see the another topic, and that is Dalton's atomic theory. Okay, Dalton's atomic theory. So, Indian philosopher like Maharshi Kannan was there, and he has already explained about atoms and which they call as Aru or Parmanu. And later on, students, if we talk about the atomic theory, so it was Dalton, he who has first of all on the basis of some of the scientific forms, he has explained on the scientific basis, he had explained about the atom, and he said that atom is what? It is that smallest unit which cannot be divided further. It means it is an indivisible particle, and on the basis of this concept that atoms is the smallest unit, he has given some of the postulates in his theory, and that postulate is included, which is included in the theory, is the Dalton's atomic theory. All the students, after the discovery of the subatomic particle, including the electron, proton and neutron, the theory, the facts in the theory, the postulates in the theory is not correct at all, but yes, we had accepted it because was given by Dalton at the first time, a theory which is given by a Dalton about that of the atom. Okay, so Dalton's atomic theory, that is So let us see that what are the main postulates, what are the things, points which has been explained by the Dalton regarding the Dalton's atomic theory. So the postulates of the Dalton's atomic theory. So the first postulate is that matter is composed of a very tiny particle which is called as atoms. Okay, matter, it is composed of a many tiny particle which is called as an atom. Okay, this is the smallest unit we can say. Now, the atom is so smallest that we cannot destroy and even we cannot create it. So, he said that atoms cannot be created nor destroyed. Incapable of being destroyed or created. Okay, atoms, they are incapable of being destroyed or created. Next one is, that is, atoms are the pure substances which cannot be subdivided or not it will be changed into the another element. Okay. So, they cannot be, atoms can neither be subdivided nor change into atoms of another element. Nor change into atoms of another element. It means atoms can neither be created nor destroyed, or it is an individual particle which cannot be divided further. He said that Dalton's first postulate was that he said that atoms are what? They are made up of a very smallest unit. They are actually the smallest unit, and since they are the smallest unit, they cannot be divided further. It means it is the indivisible unit. Okay, so he said that it cannot be divided further. The next postulate which was given by Dalton is that is, all atom of an element all atoms of an element are identical in terms of mass, size, and other properties. Okay, so atoms, they are identical in terms of mass, size and other property. It means that an atom having the same mass have the same properties, means they are having the identical properties also. So he said that if two atoms are there and both of them are having the same mass, so they must have the same physical properties also. Okay, so this is the next postulate which was given by Dalton's. Now, the next one explained by Dalton was that is atoms of one element differ in mass and other characteristics, differ in mass and other characteristic from those of other element. From those of other elements. So atom of one element, it differ in mass, other characteristic from those of other element. Okay, this is about the next postulate. So he said that if one atom is there and another is there, okay, so if two different elements are there which is made up of an atom actually, so if both of them are having different masses, so obviously their properties will also vary here. In the first case he said that if two elements are there and both of them are having the same mass, so they must have the same properties. And in the second case he said that if two elements are there which are differing from each other on the basis of the mass, then the characteristic are also different from each other. Finally, he explained about the chemical combination also. So he said that is chemical combination results in the union of atoms in numerical proportion to form a large number of new substance. Actually, what does that mean? He said that when two or more atoms they combine together, they always combine in a fixed proportion, but the ratio between them is a very small one. Okay, binary ratio we can say here, like the ratio is always like 1:2 or 2:8 or 3:8. This kind of a simple, they combine together in a simple proportion, he explained. Okay, so these are the main postulates of the Daltons in which he has explained about the atomic theory. So all of the thing that we have understood by all these concepts is, I'll summarize you in the 5 points, which is really important for us to know that. So, at first student he said that atoms are these are the smallest unit. Okay, means they are such a smallest unit that they are not divisible at all. It means they are the indivisible particles. They cannot be divided further. The second, he explained that they cannot be divided further. It means they cannot be created nor destroyed. And in an element, same kind of an atom is present. Then he said that if two different atoms are there, so they differ from properties, means they differ from each other on the basis of mass. They differ from each other. If they are different, so obviously they are having different atomic mass, and having different atomic mass gives different properties also to the two different atoms. Then he explained that if an element are there and the elements are having, say, two elements are there and two different elements are having the same mass, then the properties are also same. So in the first case, he said that if two elements are there which differ from each other on the basis of the mass, then they will show the different properties. And if two elements are there which differ from each other on the which are same in the mass, so they will give the same property. They will show the same properties. And finally, he said that when he says that when the atoms, when the element of two atoms, they combine together, they always combine together in a simple ratio. Okay, so the ratio can be 2:3 or 2:8 or 3:8. Such kind of the ratio will be there between the two elements. So these are some of the postulates which is given, some of the hypothesis or the postulate which is given by Dalton. Okay, now I told you that the Dalton's atomic theory is having a lot of a drawback, student, because at that time the subatomic particle was not discovered. Okay, and if the subatomic particles are not discovered, yes, obviously it will changes. We can say here that it will give the wrong interpretation, and all the postulates will become wrong now. Now you see here, students, that in case the Dalton's atomic theory, which is given by Dalton, it is having a lot of drawbacks. Let me tell you what are the drawbacks. So first of all, he said that atoms are an individual particle. Obviously, afterward, when the discovery of the electron, proton, neutron occur, then it we can say that it is a kind of it disproves that of the postulate which was given by Dalton, that the atom is the smallest unit, that it cannot be divided further. But yes, it can be divided into electron, proton and neutron. So this is the first drawback of the Dalton's atomic theory. The second drawback, he said that if two elements are there which is having the same mass, they have same properties also. But you see, students, having same masses means two different elements are there, which is having the same mass, having the same properties. You see, if we talk about the hydrogen itself, so hydrogen, here when we talk about the mass, actually we are not discussing about the mass here. We said that if two same elements are there, or if the element which is made up of a same atom, they may have a different mass, they may have the same mass and same properties. An element which is made up of a different atoms, it means two different elements we are talking about. So they have a different mass as well as the different property. But he disproved it. This postulate will also is lacking a lot of, I think it's also have its drawback by isotopes and isobars. So isotopes are what? Where the two elements are there, and these where the one element, the same element may differ from on the basis of the mass, and not only this, but they differ on the basis of the properties also. Like the hydrogen is there. Hydrogen is having one, the atomic number is 1, mass is 1, mass can be 2, mass can be 3, depending upon the kind of a hydrogen it is. Okay. And in case of the calcium also, so calcium exists in the form of a 35, calcium exists in the form of a 37. Okay, so the same calcium, which is consisting of the same calcium atom, is having the different masses, they are also having the different properties. Uranium 235, uranium 238, these are what? These are also isotope. So same uranium, atoms are same in it, but yes, atomic mass differ from each other. And if the atomic mass differ, obviously a lot of properties also vary from each other. So this is the drawback of the Dalton's atomic theory.